All right, hello everybody. Welcome to Black Dog Confessional. I am with Chris Cardinal, Jason Tucker. Tonight we are going to start off by obviously addressing the elephant in the room.
Did you bring a script?
No script. Chris, Chris is a little slow. He'll catch up. But basically, we had a new president elected last night, but I don't really want to focus on what we've been seeing for the past year. But I would like to go back 4 years and discuss what was different this time around than 4 years ago. Obviously, President Obama and Hillary Clinton have very similar mentalities, very similar thoughts, but the American people obviously wanted a change, and they switched over and went with a very much different non-politician, businessman, very unpolished. What do you think changed over the past 4 years?
Oh, me? I'll take that one. I think America was ready for a change. I think that they were promised hope and change underneath the last administration, and it never came. So I think everybody's just kind of tired of the same old rigmarole and the same old song and dance from Washington. It's the only one way to fix it. Go with the furthest outcast you can, and I don't know if you can get further away from the normal system than Trump. So put him in there and see if you can't make something different happen. I mean, nothing has gotten better in the last 8 years. So,
yeah, I mean, realistically, people who were poor 8 years ago were poor 4 years ago, and they're still poor now.
They're actually more poor now because of things like the Affordable Care Act and some other things that are being forced on them to purchase. So they're actually losing money. People that were poor 4 years ago are probably even poorer now.
Yeah, the advent of the Affordable Care Act just by itself caused a lot of people to wind up going, not necessarily losing their place in the workforce, but losing their station inside of where they were already at. Because when you take people that are full-time employed, and then you get an employer that owns a small business that now has to pay for benefits for somebody who is a full-time employee, well, now he's going to cut that person's hours below full-time to where they're going to be working a part-time job, so he doesn't have to provide them with those benefits. So now they're still forced to purchase benefits for themselves, and they're supposed to do it on less workable hours. And this was billed to us as something that was supposed to save everybody, and then passed as a tax. So it's actually criminal not to abide by the Affordable Care Act. So this year alone, when 2016 hit, everything essentially doubled when all of the subsidies that they were promised in 2015 expired, and everybody got hit with a full price.
Well, so, you're a private business owner.
Right.
As a private business owner, you obviously had to go get your own health insurance,
right,
or have to pay a fine, or basically have your taxes, penalized. As a private business owner, what did that mean to you?
Well, for me, what it does is it essentially makes it so that anybody that comes in here and winds up working for me doesn't wind up working as an employee. They wind up working as a contractor. They wind up paying me to be here because it's just not reasonable for me to do that for someone. There's no point in me having an employee come in here to generate revenue that I just have to turn right around and reinvest back into them. So it's a self-defeating prophecy right off of the bat. It's just money sitting in one place. I'm not profiting anything, and then that person's not profiting anything, and it's there's just no point. So it's so self-defeating that anyone that comes in is basically going to wind up being a renter instead of an employee.
Gotcha. Now, obviously, over the last 8 years, we've seen a transition. We literally 4 years ago, we pretty much saw our country divided between Democrats and Republicans across the board. I mean, the margin of winning for Obama was not much. And we had a candidate in Mitt Romney that was a lot more polished. He was a politician. I mean, he was a legitimate politician with not that much baggage in his background, I guess would be the best way to put it.
I thought he had a book. He had a binder of the ladies that he enjoyed special time with. He bragged about.
I think a lot of people saw his Mormonism as total holdback because it's not a conventional American Christian value, and it's kind of not spoken but accepted that if you're not Christian, you better not run for president because the evangelical vote is a huge thing. Just the whole middle America, wholesome Christian candidate thing is so important to everyone, and then you get Mitt Romney, who's Mormon, and that's so foreign to people that they would sooner accept somebody that was something totally foreign than Mormon. And I think Mitt Romney's disinterest, which he stated after the election, he said, I didn't really want it, just nobody else would run. And then his Mormonism was a huge thing, I think, for a lot of people.
Well, I mean,
He did save the Winter Olympics, which is important because nobody watches the Winter Olympics.
Yeah,
I watched the Winter Olympics.
You watch it for
Of
hockey,
course
which
you
is
do.
which is on right now.
yeah, you can watch
Yes,
hockey
yes.
all year
But
long.
I mean,
Exactly.
the only other cool thing about the Winter Olympics is curling.
Yes,
But they have the cross country skiing where you ski and then you stop and you
Yes,
bing, bing,
walking.
shoot a gun.
Walking
Bing, bing.
with skis.
Walking with skis.
Total-
It's very
total event, yeah.
it's tough. It's tough.
It's an
I
endurance
don't
sport. I get it.
ski, shoot, shoot, shoot.
Hey, you know, everybody's got to have a hobby. I mean, you pick things up and put them down.
Yeah, that's athletic. That's not skiing and ping, ping, ping. I mean, now it's cool if you're just gonna stand there and ping, ping, ping. But
If you're
on the
James
skis-
Bond, that shit comes up. If you're not, then it's the. Have I ever skied? No. Have I ever shot? Plenty of times. Could I do the two of them? I like to think I'm pretty multi-talented, but I really think that's going to fall outside of my sphere of ability. But I'm not trying to qualify, and you know, thanks to Mitt Romney, that might be something that pops up for me in the future now. So.
You could easily just throw it
He
in
could
the
have
X
just taken
Games.
it off the table, but instead
Oh
it's
my
still
God.
there looming like a
The
threat.
They've essentially turned into the X Games.
Yeah,
You
the
got,
X
you got
Games
snowboarding now.
adopted-
If it was
The
the X
Olympics are
Games, I'd
X
be
Games
into it.
That's what
though.
I'm saying.
I
It's
want
all-
to see.
It's all the same thing.
I want to see Shaun White out there doing backflips for the Olympics and getting the gold medal with his pants halfway around his knees. I don't give a shit about a bunch of Lithuanians out there that had never seen a fucking snowdrift before. I don't care about any of that. I want to see
Shaun
weird
White's gone
stuff.
preppy now.
Ah, whatever.
He's
got an
what do
enormous
you
red
call it?
afro.
Sold out. He's
Is that
he's the
what it
man.
You
He's
offer
got
me
short
enough
hair.
money, man.
Well,
He's got short hair. He's all preppy.
Well-
got a nice beard. You know those guys.
well, let's look at Mitt Romney for a second. All right,
Oh,
so
yeah. Get
go
back on
go back
topic.
to go back,
Back
to
on topic. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
So, Mitt Romney, although he had that in his history, I mean, I would think his history is probably a lot more cleaner than Trump's was this most recent election. I mean, with everything that came out, I mean, there was.
But what came out? I mean, you got one bad video of him making comments on a bus. I mean, they're not good. They're not good comments. Obviously, it's not something you really want to be caught saying or saying at all. But
I think you could probably go grab the National Enquirer in 1986, and there would probably be some kind of Trump story dating back then. I
But
mean,
are
he
you
does
gonna-
have a lot of baggage.
in this day and age now, with Facebook and Instagram and the tweeters and all that, are you ever going to find anybody now that you can prop up there and say, this guy has no baggage or a very minimal amount of baggage?
No.
I mean, you're going to have guys 10 years, 15 years
Yeah.
from now, or however the math works out. I don't understand Common Core. So 10, 12, 16 years from now running for president, and they're going to go back and pull up their old Instagrams and see where they were trying to light farts on fire,
Beer bongs.
beer bongs,
Yeah.
and they're going to be throwing those all over the
Yeah.
place, you
Well,
know?
the age of
Or they
secrecy
passed out
is-
drunk and their friends drew something special on their forehead with a Sharpie.
Yeah, the age of secrecy is behind us. There's nothing else because the immediate update of everything that everybody does is so available to everyone right now, and everybody's so proud of themselves to go online that every time somebody does something, just like we were talking about before we started with the gay marriage thing and how people were flip-flopping, you know, Hillary Clinton goes on the road and starts talking about how marriage is a sacred thing, anybody should be able to be married. Well, all you got to do is go on Twitter 3 years ago, and Hillary Clinton's on there making a whole big thing about how anybody can be a couple, but marriage is for men and women. So which is it? Is it 2013's opinion or the opinion you have today? It's just the immediacy of fact checking is so strong now that there's no hiding anything.
Well,
Like, it's gonna come out.
Yeah, all you
do you
gotta
think
do is
opinions
Google
can
it.
change? Do you think opinions can change?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I think opinions can change, but I just think that you...
I think people are who they are. I kind of think that, and especially with politicians, and this goes full circle right back to what we're talking about, is the fact that people are sick to death of being politicized. And Donald Trump is raw and rude and honest to a degree that people haven't seen. And you get guys like Mitt Romney, who probably was a good candidate, and Barack Obama, who is one of the slickest speaking men ever, and they come out and they go like this and they say everything in a very metered fashion, and at the end of the day, it's all BS. And it all sounds rehearsed, and 5 other guys wrote it, and this guy's just really good at presenting stuff that another man wrote down for him because it, according to psychological viewpoints, is what people want to hear. And then you get a guy that comes out and goes, the system failed you. I'm rude and crass, but I understand what you people want, and I'm prepared to give it to you. And you may think that I'm distasteful, but I'm here for you, and I work for my money too, and I don't even, Donald Trump threw away the billionaire lifestyle to take a shit $300,000 a year job in a house that's a third the size of his shittiest vacation home. So people really, that resonates with people when they're trying to find a relatable character.
You don't think that there's a plan for that for Trump? You don't think that?
Absolutely.
I mean, he's in there. They all go in there with a strategy when they get out. While they're in there to get their policies, certain things in their way, so when they get out, they're set. So whatever.
I mean, it was set before he went in.
I know, but when you've got $1 billion, you know it's better than having $1 billion, $2 billion.
Yeah.
So if you can do that
I mean,
by just changing
do you
a certain
think for him, this is one of those things that he's achieved all of this, and the one thing he hadn't was presidency.
No. I fully believe that this started off as a practical joke. I think this started off as a watch this. I'm gonna get some ratings for The Apprentice 9 or whatever, and I'm gonna announce that I'm gonna run for president. I'll bail out pretty quickly. I'll probably get whomped in the first debate, and definitely in the Iowa caucus. And then all of a sudden he started winning. Caucus, that's a funny word. And all of a sudden he started winning, and it was like, oh crap, I may have a chance to win this. And then the other 16 started falling, and Trump's still standing there, and the media loved him, and the people of America loved him because he was so different, and he said a lot of things that a lot of Americans were thinking. And all of a sudden it just grew, and then all of a sudden he's the Republican nominee.
What do you think was different between him and Ben Carson?
Ben Carson was crazy. And I don't think Ben Carson was crazy. Ben Carson said crazy stuff that they did. They kind of did the same thing to Ben Carson they did to Herman Cain. Herman Cain was a really solid candidate during one of the past elections. He's a brilliant guy. He's really educated, speaks on just a crazy intellectual level about things. He has a fierce understanding of the political system. And they took a few things that he said out of context, and there was some little teeny tiny scandal, and they folded him right up, and they did the same thing with Ben Carson, where they tried to paint him as a lunatic so that he would just be, kind of laughed right off of the dais when they started to debate everyone.
Yeah, I mean, but you still can't deny it. I mean, Ben Carson's a brilliant man. I mean,
Absolutely.
Look, what Ben Carson and Carly Fiorina, what they did was pretty phenomenal too. For not, I mean, at least Donald Trump had a name when he came up. Everybody knew who Donald Trump was. The majority of people knew who Donald Trump was.
Dude, Donald Trump was in WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, right there.
Right.
To me, that's a
for
pretty
you,
big
that was
deal. That's the
$100,000.
sole reason
That
he
was
got my
$100,000.
vote.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it.
Yeah.
If Hillary would have gone out and body slammed Stephanie McMahon, there you go, boo. You got my vote. But she didn't.
It's totally
So-
respectable. Totally get it.
So, but Ben Carson, I mean, if you paid attention to doctors and medical stuff, then you knew who Ben Carson was. And if you were into technology and maybe business side, maybe you knew who Carly Fiorina was. I had no clue who either one of them were when they started running. So when you've got no political experience at all, Donald Trump had a name. And he's built that Trump. Everything is Trump associated with them. I mean, Trump Towers,
He
Trump
is
Casino,
he is the
Trump.
Nike. He is Nike. I
Right,
mean,
yeah.
he is branded.
He's
I
a
mean,
He's
huge
Jordan.
brand.
His last name. He's essentially just a last name at this point. You know, you say Trump, you know who you're talking about. The other two didn't have that sort of stuff, and I don't think they had the experience dealing with the media. I mean, and I also look at it. Trump played the game. Trump played the media perfect. He played social media very well. He played the game.
Well, the one thing that Trump did that I think everybody really liked is that when most people who are politicians, of course, during the time when you're campaigning, that's when the other guy is going to take most of their campaign money and pay people to just dig up dirt on the opponents, because the fastest way to make yourself seem credible is to make the other guys seem like a dirtbag. So every time somebody threw something at Trump, he kind of went, "So what? Yeah, what? I'm people." And he didn't deny anything, or if there was something that came out that was just completely spurious, he found a way to discredit it and very publicly put it out there and said, yeah, this is what was said and this is what happened. And he talked really openly about things, because I think a lot of times when you look guilty, when you start getting defensive about things, and Donald Trump a lot of times just threw his hands up and went, yeah, so what? What now?
Or he, like you said, but he become very defensive, like when they had all the females coming forward and claiming some sort of sexual abuse or sexual misconduct. And he just stood right up there and said, look, they're all lying. I'm going to sue them all. This is nonsense. This is ridiculous. But he didn't hide away from it. He didn't ignore the questions. I think that hurt the other one. I think that hurt Hillary a lot. She didn't do nearly the amount of press conferences that Trump did. She picked and chose who she sat down and had interviews with. She didn't reach out to Fox News reached out to her. She never did. I might have missed it, but as far as I know, she never did an interview with Fox News. Which, you know, say what you will, but most Republicans, if you're going to watch in one of the news channels, you're going to watch Fox News. So if she wants to reach out and touch the Republican vote, that's a great place to go. She avoided those. She avoided a lot of the questions. You know, she dodged it. Even with the new WikiLeaks, when they started dumping all of her emails, they never denied that the emails came from them. They just tried to shift the blame and go, Russia, 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 Russia. That's like, let's not pay attention to what happened in Watergate. Let's not pay attention to the Watergate scandal. Let's concentrate more on, you know, somebody broke into a hotel room.
Yeah.
They were trying to deflect
Well,
it.
you minimize or however you want to call
Well,
it.
they were deflecting the whole thing.
Well, now we are where we are. I mean, no matter how you voted one way or another, we are with Donald Trump as our president-elect.
I voted for Harambe.
You were one of the 12,000 people that voted for Harambe.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, look at you.
Yeah,
I mean,
keep
it makes
him in.
sense. I mean, it
You
makes
did,
sense.
you did your duty as a citizen.
Yeah, he did. He got up. He got
And I
dressed.
respect you for your service.
But now we are at a point where we've seen a lot of people wearing red hats. Is it put up or shut up time? Do people need to go out there and get to work? I mean, what do you think we need to do as a community, locally, nationally, however you want to take a look at it? But I mean, we obviously are at a point where we were willing to go out and knock on doors, shake hands, and kiss babies to get somebody elected, but we obviously cannot depend on a president to be at everybody's doorstep, you know, handling all their problems. I mean, what do we need to do locally to get to that next level?
Well, I think the obvious answer, obviously, is that we need to come together as a community or as a nation and start to repair some of these divides across Republican lines, Democrat lines, independents, libertarians, whatever you are, and start rebuilding those. Because not just through this election, but the last 4, 8, 12 years, I mean, you've seen just a huge divide across from it, all the way across. You got families that aren't talking to each other anymore. You get Facebook people get deleted off each other because somebody posted something they didn't like. And so we need to start building back together. And I'll tell you, I watched a lot of TV today, and the Democrats are saying all the right things along with that line. You know, Hillary Clinton came out and gave her concession speech, and she did very well, saying, you know, Trump is our president. I hope he does well. We need to fall in line and do what he, you know, we need to all support him and do what we can to repair this country. I think a lot of the Democrats seem to be on board with that, and hopefully the Republicans will. You know, hopefully, you know, it's going to be interesting because you've got Trump who alienated a lot of Republicans when he was running. So you've got him heading it. You've got a Republican-led Congress or Republican-led Senate. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can all come together. And you can start that on a local level, but I think the big example has to come from Washington, and I don't know that it's come from there in the last few years. And I think if you start to see that, if people start to see that Republicans are reaching across the aisle and working with Democrats, and Trump is doing stuff to help everybody, not just going in there and okay, we're going to get rid of this thing Obama did and this thing Obama did, but maybe building on some of the things that he has. I think if people as a whole see that, we can grow real easily from there. And so they just got to work together right away, right off the top. January 21st, they need to get together and just start working together.
I feel like, and this is my personal view on a lot of this stuff, and this goes hand in hand with what you're saying, but on a lot of different levels aside from just the political thing, is there's a lot of people over the last few years have really fostered a victim mentality about having this thing in their imagination that somebody, Big Brother, whoever, is out to get them, and that's the reason they're not succeeding, or that like when President Obama ran on the Change platform, and everybody thought that all of a sudden, okay, Obama gets inaugurated, tomorrow everything is going to be different, all these things are going to fall out of the sky, my life's going to get easier because he's going to give me insurance, and he did the stimulus package and all that. And man, the president is not your dad. The president does things for the benefit of the country to make it so that you can help yourself. So, you know, like all the, I think a lot of the misconception that people have about how the president is supposed to help you was really illustrated by the Bernie Sanders crowd, where you had the Twitter crowd of 16-year-olds that were online screaming and yelling, I want free stuff, give me college, give me health care, give me all these things, and there's no such thing as free. And tons of the people that were the most vocal and the most vitriolic during this whole election were the people that were also the least educated on how the system works. And you saw those people when they started getting challenged start lashing out and attacking and getting violent and weird, which is just a way of voicing frustration, I think, about things that they don't understand or that they feel helpless with. But everybody needs to just sort of understand that, okay, when things start to become available, you still have to get up and go get them. You have to work, you have to go find things. It's not, the president's not your father, and he's not going to send you a check every month. He's going to make things better so that when you work, it works better for you, but he's not going to set the table for you to eat every day. That's not his place.
No, you brought up a good point.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. I see you looking things up.
Vitriolic. Very good word. I had to Google it.
No, it's good.
No clue.
I'm a big fan of that one.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah,
I had to, luckily, Google caught my spelling errors. Definitely thought it started with V-E-T.
that autocorrect.
V-I-T. Yeah.
No, man. No.
Yeah, well, sometimes autocorrect works.
You gotta spell it
For the
like I
record,
say
I've
it.
never...
Spell it like I say it.
Yeah.
See,
You
that's
want
that's
another
why
one?
Chris has to have his phone up here so we
Yeah.
can Google half of the things we talk about.
No, don't give me another one yet.
Okay,
Let me,
well,
I'm
in a minute.
gonna work vitriolic into a
It's gonna
sentence.
take
I'm
a
gonna
minute.
spring a 50-cent one on you.
It's going to take him a few weeks to get that. But you brought up a point that I want to touch on, the feeling of hopelessness, where I think a lot of people that jumped on the Bernie Sanders campaign was because they felt like they haven't had a chance. And I don't know if it's a mentality that we're teaching. Are we entitling our youth? Are we planting the wrong seeds at this
Definitely
point?
believe that's true.
I mean, because realistically, we operate in our two-party system. Yeah, we have our obviously libertarians, independents, and everything else that goes along with it. And God bless America, we have the right to be that way. You know, we have the abilities to, vote for whom we wish and speak how we wish to speak for the most part. But do we feel that does this generation coming up, are they feeling hopeless? And is it something we're doing? I mean, we're parents. You could be a parent. I don't know. He could be a parent.
He is. He just doesn't.
In a lot of weird places.
Sorry.
Yes, he's been.
I think they should. I'm sorry, Jason. Go ahead.
No, I think that we absolutely are fostering this sense in people of having too high of an expectation, because a lot of people are afraid to just be average. Everyone equates average with failure. And here's the way it really goes. You're going to be around for a quick minute, then you're going to die, and when the last guy that ever knew you dies, you're forgotten. And yeah, celebrate the time that you're here, but social media has convinced everybody that they're on this little stage, viewing their life through a keyhole, like they're this superstar, and you're really not. You're part of a greater body politic where the things that I do affect you, and the things that you do affect my life, and we all have to work as a community. And one of the problems that I think America has is a real lack of a communal sense of identity, where we don't see ourselves as Americans. We see each other as, I'm this guy, whatever your Twitter handle is, that's how you identify yourself as, and the life that you put forward publicly is just horseshit. And then the guy that you are privately, is just sitting around sad and dying for some sort of approval. And everybody is so focused on the idea of trying to be a big deal that they don't want to be an engineer. They don't want to be a seamstress or a car mechanic or the guy that comes to your house and fixes your washing machine. They want to be the guy that writes for Huffington Post, and they want to have their name up on the screen and all that. And they won't accept anything else. So if they can't have this dream that they built for themselves, then they just won't do anything, and they consider it a total failure. And it's just one of these things you can't convince people. Like, you don't get everything that you want.
Without working for it, I should say.
Well,
yeah,
no, see,
there's limits.
Yeah.
Within
There's a
reason,
limit, yeah.
you are only entitled to what you earn, and that's it. And it's good. Dream as big as you want, but you have to live reasonably, and you can't say, if I can't have this, I don't want anything. Because, live in your mom's basement until you're 45, because that's the alternative. Nobody starts out a millionaire.
Yeah. Oh no, you're right. I mean, everybody's got to work. Everybody's got to put their effort in.
Well, I think the problem is, and Jason and I were talking about this earlier, is I think we're seeing the end of the participation ribbon era. I think that right now, so many people are so used to just getting something for just showing up. You showed up, here's your ribbon. You went to this competition, you did this, here's your ribbon. Thanks for coming.
Not
here's
keeping
this,
score in
here's
the
that.
league.
Right. No keeping score, nothing. Everybody's equal. Everybody's saying, listen, that's not how life works. In life, there are winners and there are losers, but you have to teach your children that, because if you don't teach them that, then that's what they're going to do. They're just going to expect it. They're going to get out of college and expect, okay, where's my 6-figure job?
Yeah, your teacher's going to tell you you're incredible, and then your boss is going to come in and go, what is wrong with you? Are you slow? Get out. You're terrible at your job. You're fired. You can't fire
Or
me.
you're not even going to get the job,
Right.
because you're just expecting to walk in there and go, hey, sup, bro, maha boom, let me get this job. And they're because well, no, you got to give me the job. You have to give me the job. You have to give me the job. I applied for it. You have to give it to me.
And there's that entitlement.
Right. That's what I mean. So, so with the end of the participation ribbon era and people starting to learn again, hey, you got to earn it. Everything you get, you have to earn. And for the most part, I mean, there are people that are born with silver spoons in their mouth, and they're always going to get, everything handed to them. But I think we're going to slowly start to see this cycle of, no, we're going to earn it. I know in our family, our kids earn it. When we go to the arcade, she don't win skee ball every time or air hockey. Every now and then, you got to put the whooping on. She's got to know realistically. Look, when Daddy wants to turn on the juice or turn on the speed, pow! He's going to take you out in the air hockey.
Well, I played Little League when I was a kid. I played baseball until I was well into probably junior high school or whatever. And I'm pretty sure that my parents, like I'm not a professional baseball player now, but I think that when I was a kid, the important thing my parents wanted me to learn was how to lose. Because I remember my first year at T-ball, the first time I lost a game, I went in my bedroom and cried like the literal 6-year-old that I was. But I cried forever, like it was the end of the world. And then my old man comes in and goes, you got like 30 more games, right? So I hope this isn't going to be a whole thing with you because you're going to feel like shit for a whole baseball season.
No, I agree 100% because, just the other day I'm cleaning out my garage and my in-laws had moved, so I had a bunch of boxes. And as I'm going through all this stuff, I'm looking at stuff that I had from high school. We're looking at 20 years ago now. And I'm not going to lie, there was a lot of failure in there. There was a lot of failure in there. And as I was going through things, I'm like, man. But then I look at where I am today, and I think of all those failures and how they've gotten me to the point of where I am. To work harder, to focus harder, to, go back to college. And, and now you're back in school. But, being a 35-year-old guy when I was getting my master's degree was not easy with 2 children at home and making sure I was at baseball games and baseball t-ball games and soccer games and gymnastics
and your wife and your family
and being a faithful and loving husband, fulfilling those needs, fulfilling the needs of the provider. My wife also works, so she's also a provider. But
that's a good cover up. That's a good way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to get home and get stabbed.
But you were talking about hockey the other day, and I just got I smoked her at Brandon Gish's kid's birthday party, and
thanks for the invite for that one. Thanks, buddy.
Chris is hurt, by the way. Just so you know. I just wanted to rub that in that I was playing air hockey, and he was not. He was at home crying.
Yeah, no, I don't like pump it up. There's no way a 250-pound man would love to just jump around on an air mattress.
There's no kid that wants a 250-pound man jumping around in there with
I will rent a bounce house if you get in it.
It gets creepy. It's not. There's a lot of times I'm asked to just you go. It's time.
It's not fun till it gets weird, and that's when the day starts.
Right.
Is when stuff gets weird.
That's it. So I mean, here we are. Like I said, I saw a bunch of failure, but it didn't stop me. It didn't stop that winning mentality, that strive to be better. At some point, I think we stopped that with the participation awards and and saying, hey, you showed up, you played really well. And what really upsets me is, being part of Little League and going to these games and Little League soccer and everything else. I see a lot of these parents that as soon as their kid starts freaking out that they didn't get enough playing time or they struck out, the parents aren't saying, hey, well, we need to go home and practice. They're just saying, well, let's go buy you something from a concession stand or go to Toys R Us and get you a toy.
Mm-hmm. Or it's the coach's fault.
Or it's the coach's fault.
We had that in soccer one year.
Yeah.
She got my daughter got a sportsmanship award. You give them out once every game. She played in like this little tiny league, and she won the first one. And I watched another parent. She got the only one. They only passed out one a game or one a practice session. I watched another parent go up to the coach and start complaining that their kid didn't win it. Well, what am I supposed to tell my kid when I get home? Why didn't they get the medal? Tell your freaking kid to have better sportsmanship next time. Tell little Timmy to stop pushing him down.
Yeah, try harder.
That's it. Just work.
What?
And that's the point. That's the point of beating her in skee ball, in air hockey. It's not because I'm so malicious. I like to beat.
No,
well, it is. Sometimes
good.
you have to establish dominance.
Dude, a little kid down the skee ball table, they go down like a house of cards.
Yeah.
And it feels good to stand on somebody and be like, you don't have shit. Daddy's
Daddy gets up on top of the table and
King
Kong ain't got nothing on me. Yeah, but you got to teach her though, because it's just to me and to us, it's just as good to learn to be a good loser as it is to be a good winner. I will yell at her if she starts pouting when she loses, and I yell at her if she starts gloating when she wins. The deal is you shake hands, you say good game, and you ask if you want to play again. And if they say no, then you walk away.
Well,
you know, and
are we looking at? You brought up a really good point right there. That's why I wanted to start interrupting you. But you know,
got one.
you got bam.
Put that
That's
one on
it.
the board.
Check him out. He's
That's in
leaving
the
on a high
books.
note.
That's in the books right there.
But it's in the books. That's your one for the night. But think about this. As growing up, I remember I was a Don Mattingly fan for New York Yankees. Loved that guy. Loved to watch him play. Had the coolest batting stance. You know, but I never heard anything bad about him. You know, he was a good guy. He was never a bragger. He was never, you know, pumping his chest. Now we go and you turn on basketball, you turn on football, you turn on a lot of these sports, and you're seeing negativity. You know, you're seeing this role model, not so much, showing these kids what bad sportsmanship is.
But that's full circle right back to what I said. Nobody's part of a team. Everybody's a superstar. Everybody, you know, is the first one to get on ESPN and go, I carried this whole team. Not I brought something to this team that made this team perform better. It's this team wouldn't be anything without me. I'm a superstar and everything is about me. And it's the exact same thing. Everybody wants to be a big
But
shot.
when you watch them, when you watch those sports, and then you watch the teams that actually win, that end up winning the championships, 9 times out of 10, they have a leader that doesn't do that. The other teams, the teams that failed below them and don't understand why they don't win or why they didn't win, they don't understand it's because you've got a leader who only cares about themselves. But you look at the Seattle Seahawks. You'll never hear Russell Wilson getting up there and patting his chest and, hey, this was all about number 3. You never hear anybody on the team. You might hear Richard Sherman every now and then. But Tom Brady, you don't hear Tom Brady or Bill Belichick standing in front of a podium.
If you're
even
a mature
LeBron James.
adult, you understand that there's only so much you can do. If you're on any playing field with a dozen other men that all have different positions, I don't care how many Michael Jordans you got on your team. You don't have 10 of them.
Right.
You need everybody, and you can just be performing your ass off. And if the rest of the team, if they're sitting around feeling contemptuous because you got one guy that's out there gloating, and that guy is the only guy on that team, anybody can name that dude. He's the one. The rest of the team might as well just have bags over their head. Those guys are not going to feel like doing anything because they're going to go, well, I'm out here trying my ass off and nobody cares because this guy over here, you know, he's the sweetheart of the entire thing. So, like, you know, and not saying that everybody's motive is to get recognized, but you sure as shit want some credit for what you're doing. If you're going to go out and try as hard as that guy, and that guy's going to be the one that gets on the cereal box, then, you know, why try as hard as that guy if you're not going to get any payoff out of it, or at least a thank you?
Well, I think we saw a good example of that with this Cubs series, you know, with Cubs and Indians. And I think we saw a lot of very well-liked players. You had, and I think the best thing was that when you got to the
both
seventh,
sides.
on both sides, great players, good pitching. But I think the greatest example of what we're talking about is when it got to Game 7 and they got to the rain delay, and I believe his name Hayward, the outfielder.
Yeah.
You know, everybody said at the end of the game when they won, they go, Hayward came in and called us all together, and he got us back focused. And here's a guy who legitimately did not have a great at bat at all during the entire
Season. Jason Hayward's an over $100 million contract player, and he was a bust.
Yeah.
They benched
Make
him
some
at
great
the beginning
plays.
of the.
Make some great plays in the outfield.
He had some great plays, but I mean, for what he's supposed to be, but that shows you right there that all he cared about was winning. Look, I'll sit. Let somebody else play.
Look at Ross, the catcher.
Right.
I mean, here's a guy who is a part-time catcher, played backup most of his career, and he was looked at by the team as an informal leader. I mean, here's a guy who in Game 7 cracks a home run, who Wiley wasn't even supposed to play Game 7.
Well, you can back it up right before that. Takes a fastball off the face mask, gets past him. I think 2 runs score.
Oh yeah.
And then he gets up the next inning and hits a home run. And the only run, you're right, the only reason he was in the game is he was John Lester's personal catcher. So when Lester came in, Ross came in.
And Lester wasn't even supposed to be pitching.
Right. Well, it's Game 7. You're going to pull out.
Yeah.
If you were on the team, they would let you. No.
Yeah.
No, they still wouldn't let you pitch.
No, they would not let me pitch. Have you ever seen me pitch?
I don't think I need
It's
to.
horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. I was known for pegging batters. That was pretty much the extent of my throwing skills.
Yeah.
I played catcher, but not.
Your
never-
glasses scream Wild Thing Vaughn.
Yeah.
And that's 100% what I was. I did not have glasses at the time,
I
which is
didn't
why I
That's probably why I had a
I
problem.
didn't want to be the one to throw that one out there.
Did you have the
because
cool upside down Christmas tree?
No,
haircut?
but when they finally did get me glasses, I had those awesome Rec Specs. Remember those, the hard plastic ones?
Yeah, the Horace Grant.
Yeah, I had.
man.
I rocked. I looked like I was Spider-Man.
Horace Grant, man, 54. Number 54 on the jersey, number 1 in your heart. How much time have we gone? Does that thing say?
No, but I think we're gonna wrap it up.
We want to tell a story? We gotta tell a story. It's gotta be a funny story. We've been pretty serious.
Yeah, they're gonna tell the story about how I'm sitting on a pack of paper right now because I was
Holy
shorter than
moly.
everybody.
We're so not gonna tell that story.
I wasn't
gonna
gonna- I
I
said
was
I was
gonna tell the
gonna
story.
bring it up.
I was gonna tell the story of how this started. I was gonna tell that story.
Go ahead, go.
I
I,
can-
don't,
I-
I
I
don't remember
will-
how this started, but go ahead.
I will clear. I clear as a bell.
Bring us home.
Bring it home. So, those of you who don't know, I have this very phenomenal tattoo. It's a Chinese dragon. We'll go down a whole nother.
It is.
That's a whole nother
incredible.
story.
It's a whole
It's
nother story.
absolutely incredible.
I decided I wanted another
It's a
tattoo.
mystical.
I had seen some
Time
ideas
capsule.
on Instagram and Facebook that I wanted to get a tattoo of my 6-year-old daughter writing her name out, which is, can I get it in the camera?
Yeah.
Is it in the, hey, whoa.
So I get an underboob that said "Just breathe."
So I called up Steve. I said, hey, who's your tattoo guy? He said, go see Jason Tucker. I came down. I saw Jason Tucker. I said, here's what I want to do. He said, dude, is that your handwriting? Because it's really bad. I said, no, it's my daughter's. He said, all right, we'll do it. So we set up an appointment.
Shit.
I come in. We sit down. He's like, you ready to do this? I'm like, dude, let's do it. So he puts it on the forearm. I'm trying to get it in the camera. I know, but I don't know if it's...
Dude, you're gonna push Steve straight into the next unit.
Hey, whoa, watch it. So,
Look at that beautiful thing.
it is. Anyway, it's 6 letters long, right? And it goes 4 letters. He starts at the Y, gets to the E, goes down the L, starts working on the N, and I look over at him, and Tucker looks at me and he goes, dude, you don't look so good. And I said, yeah, has anyone ever passed out when they're getting a tattoo? And he said, 6-year-old girls. And I said, well, guess what? You're about to have a 240-pound, 36-year-old man take a face plant. So we had to stop. Moved me over to a bench. I laid down for 10 minutes. I'm asking him, seriously, dude. I mean, this happens all the time, right? He's like, yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's
Tiny-
texting
tiny
Fernez.
little girls. Yeah.
Right. Meanwhile, he's texting Fernez, going, "What did you send me, dude? What's going on here?" So Amanda, we obviously finished the tattoo. The next day, I get a text message from a friend of ours, and he says, "Really, you little bitch, you made it through 4 letters." And I said, "Listen, don't act tough to me. You got shot and you were out for a long time. Don't talk to me." And so after that, I decided to get another tattoo. Steve came down with his GoPro. Oh, this the crow. Oh, yeah, I think that's what Crow said. And Steve came down with his GoPro.
Super mystical though.
We started taking a video of it. We had some pretty epic time doing that. Jason wore a tiger onesie,
I
which
did. I
at
still
some
have
point you'll
that.
see.
You can see that on my Instagram.
Yeah.
My tiger pajamas.
And I wore a mystical shirt of cats, unicorns, moons, all colored as rainbows. And Steve wore a lightning shirt. Very creative.
That's pretty much what I wear most of the time.
I just want to throw it out there that I tried to make Chris aware too before we started that the letter N is in fact one of the most painful tattoo images that there are to put on you.
Yeah.
So I said if you're going to spell that, I would leave the N out of it, and he stuck with it anyway and got what he fucking deserved. So that's from A to B on that one.
Almost made it through the
that-
entire one.
And that's from a tattoo professional right there.
Yeah.
I mean, like you
I bet-
got to take his word.
Listen.
You know how long I've been doing this? A long time. That's how long.
Yeah.
And I know I don't say things out of pocket, and I told you that shit was going to hurt.
And it didn't hurt. I was a little girl.
I'll bet you get the next one under your boob like I suggested.
Yeah. No.
But the worst part
It's a
about the whole
move. They're pectoral pop muscles. This is starting to get a little creepy.
The worst thing about this
It's going
is
downhill
I
fast
thought it was a
for
joke. I thought it was a joke. Like here's my friend who power lifts. What do you squat? Or what is that stuff called?
I squat almost 500 pounds. I deadlift over 500 pounds.
Okay, here's a guy who does all this and he can't get past 3 letters without passing out. So I thought this was a joke.
And yeah, that's right.
And then then he proceeds to tell me that he wants to get this whole
Arm
crow.
It's
Yeah,
a decent
no,
size.
But it's not an owl.
But okay,
because owls are way cool.
let's take this back to magic, though. Let's take this back to magic. If you're gonna get a tattoo of a mystical crow with some mystical time travel and timepieces on there, and you channel the inner energy of that, you're gonna get the mystical crow's ability to sit through that tattoo. But if you're getting the tattoo of a 6-year-old girl's name on you and you channel that, that's what you're gonna get is the endurance of a 6-year-old girl. So,
Ipso
bam,
facto.
right there. That's how we wound up at this table right there.
Can you
is
show-
him channeling his inner
No, I'm
6-year-old
not showing
girl.
the dragon tattoo
Oh
yet.
my
That's
God.
A,
Okay.
It's a time capsule
we'll
straight
save
to
that.
the
I don't know that
ZZ
we
Top.
have. Oh,
We'll save that for the
there's-
next
that's,
show.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's pretty in depth. The dragon. There's a lot going on there with orbs and fire.
It's
and,
incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. It's pretty much the reason that
Just
a
Google,
lot of guys in the 90s have Tasmanian devil tattoos.
It's why I showed up tonight.
Tribals and barbed wire. That's what
it's
we're
right
getting
up
at
there.
right here.
It's right up there.
It's pretty much an IROC Z with a pair of Oakley razor blade sunglasses on it. Just
Some kind of
Snapshot.
jean jacket or vest to go
Yeah,
along with it.
highly
Probably a vest
appropriate.
because you want to show it off.
So not
Frosted
seeing the
tips.
problem. You guys are
Frost-
not.
no, everything that's come up right now is awesome. It's making me want to go get my checkbook and go shopping.
Yeah.
What's a checkbook?
Yeah.
God, I just dated myself.
Showing your
didn't I?
age.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Jason is not. Yeah, we won't go there. Okay. Anyway,
Oh, that was about to be an old joke, wasn't
it
it?
was about to be an old joke. Is the
Put some
fo- is
short
the
shit in
40
there about
plus.
that ream of paper you're
The
sitting
guy's
on.
in on 450 sheets of paper so he can be up the level.
Yeah, look at that. Still sky over top.
Exactly. This is messed up. Anyway, all right. So we will conclude for the night unless anybody else got anything else to add.
Dude, no, can you bring the script next time?
I can. And you know what? And next time we're going to discuss what happens to Mexican pizza.
Yeah, oh yeah. Mexican pizza and
Dude.
pizza combo.
Why is it shaped
And
like a
Bigfoot.
stop sign?
If Donald Trump can figure out what happened to where Bigfoot's at, 4 more years. Write it down. Mark it down right now.
Vote again.
You don't have a cool sign off thing?
No, I have a finger that I push the button and it goes
You don't
on.
give him the Instagram?
Ding. Go ahead. You said it.
Oh, I don't remember it. It's at
The Black
The-
Dog Confessional.
_black_dog_confessional. Google confessional.
All you got to do is type in the Black Dog Confessional. It pops up. But,
Jesus
you know,
Christ.
if you need a tattoo,
At Jason Tucker Tattooer. Yeah, it's that simple.
easy enough. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next month.